September 10th, 2025, Utah Valley University. A bright afternoon turns to chaos. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk is addressing a crowd of more than 3,000. Suddenly, a single crack of gunfire. Charlie Kirk clutches his neck and collapses. A rising star of America's conservative movement. An ally of Donald Trump. And a man who built his career by taking the fight to America's campuses. He was only 18 when he co-founded Turning Point USA. What began as a small advocacy group grew into the largest conservative youth movement in the nation. Kirk's message: unapologetically pro-Trump, anti-liberal, and relentless. Through his podcast, his books, and constant appearances on Fox News, Kirk reached millions. His influence stretched beyond the campus, into the heart of the Republican Party. On September 10th, Kirk was 20 minutes into his American comeback tour stop at UVU. He sat at his Prove Me Wrong table, debating a student on mass shootings and transgender identity. "Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters?" a student asked. "Too many," Kirk responded as the crowd clapped. Seconds later, the shot was fired. One shot. Fired from a rooftop more than 100 yards away. The weapon, a bolt-action rifle, later recovered in nearby woods, engraved with messages tied to transgender and anti-fascist ideology. The shooter fled. Authorities say he is believed to be college-aged. Surveillance footage tracked him across the rooftop, then vanishing into a nearby neighborhood. 2 people were briefly detained, but released without charges. Now, the suspect remains at large. Federal and state officials call it a political assassination. Charlie Kirk's legacy is complex. To his supporters, he was a warrior for free speech and conservative values. To critics, he was a provocateur who inflamed racial, religious, and gender divisions. His words sparked outrage. On Islam, he called the faith at odds with Western values. On Gaza, he defended Israel's wars and questioned Palestine's existence. On abortion, he opposed it, even in the case of a 10-year-old rape victim. And on guns, he argued that deaths were an acceptable cost of freedom. The reaction was immediate. President Donald Trump called it a dark, dark moment for America, lowering flags to half-staff. Politicians across the spectrum condemned the violence. From Joe Biden to Kamala Harris, from Bernie Sanders to Ron DeSantis, all spoke out. International leaders, from Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu to Brazil's Eduardo Bolsonaro, paid tribute to Kirk, a man whose influence stretched far beyond America's borders. Charlie Kirk. At 31, his voice was powerful, polarizing, impossible to ignore. His death leaves behind a wife, children, and a movement now mourning its most provocative young leader. Charlie Kirk, 1993-2025. Turning point in American politics,